This week on the Organized Life podcast. Let's talk about zones. So I'm going to walk you through the zone by zone organization. It's just a guide. You don't have to start in the zone that I'm talking about. You want to start with where your biggest pain point is, wherever that stressor is, wherever that space is that's causing you the most frustration, that would bring you the most relief if it was organized. That's where you want to start. It's not about perfection. It's about peace and productivity that's pushing you towards purpose. Welcome to episode 3 of the Organized Life podcast, where we take chaos and turn it into peace and productivity that pushes you towards your purpose. I am your host, Tequila Renee, the life organizing strategist, and I'm the owner of Extreme Audacity Organized Solutions. So this particular episode is very exciting because it's all about how to get organized. It's one of the most popular conversations that I get when I'm having just, random conversations with people. Is like, how do you do it? So we do it one space at a time. So this one is all about how to simplify your life one space at a time. So if you've ever looked around your home, your workspace, and felt overwhelmed, frustrated, or maybe even stuck, you're not alone. Or maybe you've been moving those piles of papers or those piles of whatever from, your table to the bed, from the bed to the floor, maybe from the counter to the floor, from the floor to, those bags of miscellaneous items that we just throw in the corner, right? You get my point. Or maybe you've, said that, oh my goodness, I'll get to it someday, and someday never comes. Well, today is the day. This episode breaks it down. We break it down step by step. How to get organized without feeling defeated by simplifying your life one space at a time, or I like to call them zones, one zone at a time. So listen, here's the truth. Living and working in chaos, it shouldn't be your norm, and it doesn't have to be your norm, right? This organization, it costs you. It steals space, time, energy, and money. And most importantly, it steals your peace of mind. This is what I call systems. If you didn't get to hear episode 1, I talk all about systems and getting organized and how it's not about the color-coded bins, the clean countertops, and all those things. It's about creating a space that supports how you live, work, and play. Those systems, your daily routine, your goals, your values, if they aren't considered in the process, then nothing you do will stick, okay? So in today's episode, we are focusing on practical strategies and systems to get organized one space at a time. So I'm giving you some gems. I'm giving you the 5 essential phases of what I believe a successful organization session entails. And then I'm going to give you my 5 top tips. And I do have a bonus tip for you, okay? All right, so this will help you to tackle your space zone by zone, okay? So let's get into it. So the 5 essential phases of a successful organizing session. I got a little tongue tied there. So I'm going to give you the 5 phases, and then I'll go into detail about each one, okay? So number 1 is make room. Number 2 is purge. Number 3 is the quick sort. Number 4 is the detailed sort and categorizing. Number 5 is organize and beautify. Okay, so let's break those down. Number 1, we want to make room. What does that look like, Tequila? That is when you go into a space, and sometimes or oftentimes we have stuff all over the floor, all over, and we can't freely move. So what you want to do is make room. This is more about making room for the floor so you can actually freely move around and be safe while you're doing it, okay? Now, you don't have to do every phase and each one of these phases, all 5 of them, but you can't skip one and go to the next. If one is already done, if phase one is already done, like make room, then just go to phase two, right? So phase one is make room. We're clearing the floors. We're making the space free and safe so that we can freely move around. And what does that look like? We're taking out the trash. We're picking up trash, right? We're gathering loose clothes and putting them in a basket. We're creating a pile of the miscellaneous items that need to be sorted. And then, this gives you like a quick, like what I like to call it's a quick win, right? The space just feels different instantly, right? And then once you do that, you want to purge, okay? Once you start purging, you really getting into the nitty gritty of things. Purging is the most challenging aspect of getting organized, but it is one of the most rewarding once you get the hang of it and start to feel more comfortable with purging. So let's sit right here for a minute. Why? Okay. Let me say this. The more you do purging, the more you participate in the activity of purging, the more comfortable you'll get. Initially, it's gonna be challenging. It's very uncomfortable because it causes you to make decisions that you don't want to make. It brings up emotions. Sometimes it's guilt, right, or obligation. I paid too much for that. I can't get rid of that. That's wasteful, right? I don't I don't want to waste that money, or I don't want to waste that item just throwing it away or giving it away. Sometimes it could be family heirlooms or keepsakes, right? Or here's a big doozy one for me. It's a gift, right? Gifts are kind of challenging because oftentimes we think that that particular item is connected to the way that person feels about me. So, like, if they gave me a shirt, I can't get rid of it because they gave it to me. And if I get rid of it, they're going to feel a certain way, right? We have to get out of that narrative because ultimately, if you continue to bring more things in the house, more gifts every year for your birthday, Christmas, all those things, you'll just be overwhelmed, okay? Another thing that we struggle with is fear. What if? Right? What if I'll need that? What if I'll use it later? You know, um, that's a big one too. Well, these are all big ones. I keep saying that's a big one, but listen, they are. Then we have decision fatigue. Now, for decision fatigue, I give a pass because at this point, you're probably overwhelmed by all the decisions you've had to make over the past 30 minutes, hour, whatever your capacity is, 2 hours, that can set in. And then that means that it's time to take a break. It's time to get some water, get a snack, maybe eat a whole meal, whatever you need to do to replenish yourself, because decision fatigue does set in. But what you want to do is you want to really get honest about what's actually serving your life, okay? You want to ask yourself one of my favorite questions. If I didn't already own it, would I buy it again today? Okay, let that set in. If I didn't already own it, would I buy it again today? That one question, it can change everything, okay? So, you just want to let go of the items that are holding space that's not adding value to your life. Okay. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to link in the show notes, in the description, I'm going to add a list of thought provoking questions that you can use to help you walk through the purging process. There's some challenging questions, and they will challenge you to make different type of decisions. If you don't get the purging right, you'll struggle with the rest, okay? We've sat in phase two for a while now just because purging is so important, and it's the very foundation of getting organized, right? So if you don't get it right, you'll be keeping too many items, and you won't be freeing yourself from all of the clutter and chaos that you really could get rid of, okay? Now we'll get into phase three. This is what I call the quick sort. And the quick sort is when you create the categories. You create the keep, donate, sell, trash, and relocate. So when you're purging, you're taking your items and you putting it in one of these 5 piles, okay? So you're either keeping it, you're donating it, you're selling it, you're putting it in the trash, or you're relocating it to another room inside the house, okay? This helps with decision fatigue. It helps you to stay moving, right? And to stay semi-organized in the chaos, okay? And then we get into stage 4 or phase 4, I'm sorry. And we're going to go a little bit deeper here. So when you are in the keep pile, so stage 4 is mostly just for the keep pile, right? Specifically, you want to take that keep pile and you want to get it even more detailed. So this is the detailed sort, okay? So if for your clothes, for instance, for let's say shirts, you want to sort it into long sleeve, short sleeve, camis, whatever categories, that works for you and, your closet or your drawers. You want to get as specific as possible. Say, for instance, you have those outside t-shirts that you'll wear outside, but you have those in-house t-shirts that listen, I'm not going outside in this t-shirt. Those need to be separated. You want to keep them as separate as possible. Your jeans from your slacks, your skirts. However you like your categories, you want to get those categories as detailed as possible, okay? And then, like, say, for instance, your pantry. You want to separate your snacks from your baking items and your grains, right? Whatever categories work for you, okay? Then let's talk about maybe the bathroom. So your body care, your skin care, right? Your hair products, those things like that. You want to separate it. Your first aid kits, right? The more specific your categories are, the easier your systems will be to maintain and to put in place. Okay? Now we'll get into phase 5. I don't know why I'm saying stage. Phase 5, okay? This is when you organize and beautify. This is where the fun comes in, where you get to create that little cute and fancy space if you want to, right? So this is where everything gets grouped together, and this is your time to create a home for each item, right? So you use this new storage, new shelving, new containers, new bins, new labels. If you want, you can get all those things new or use what you already have. I try to recycle some of the items that we've already have because, you done bought stuff already. Got it already in the house. And so try to use some of the things you already have. But if you want to be fancy and take it to the next level, by all means, you just want to make sure you're buying for what you're keeping, right? And not what you already have. And those containers and bins and shelving that you bought previously were for what you had. Now it's time to use items or containers, bins, shelving for what it is that you've actually decided to keep, okay? All right. And so when you're doing this organizing and beautifying, you want to make sure that you're creating it based off of your intuition, how you live, work, and play, your daily routine, right? You don't want to start putting stuff in a place where it feels foreign to you. You want to create a system that actually works for you. And I talk about this in another episode, so go back and check them out, okay? You don't want to overthink it, right? You want to think about your real life, your real routine, right? What you do in the morning, right? What do you use the most? You want to design a system around your real life, right? What's important to you? What's least important to you, right? What's important to you is going to go in the front. It's going to go in your prime real estate, okay? And then what's least important, or the things you use, not as much, that will go in another area, maybe what you can call your overstock area. That can be like in a linen closet or something. If you're doing the bathroom, you don't want to put everything in the bathroom, just the things that you're using on a regular basis, okay? So next, we're going to get into our 5 top tips. These 5 top tips are tips that you want to keep in mind while you're going through the organizing process, okay? It makes the entire process more effective. So let's go. Tip number 1 is use a folding table. Listen, I love the folding tables. I talk about them all the time on my social media platforms. Use the folding tables. It gives you an extension of surface because many times our surfaces are full of items that we're already cluttered with, right? So we can't use our desk or our dresser or table to sort and purge things because they're already full of items that we already have on them. So when you get the folding tables, it allows you to even sort the things that are already on your existing surfaces so that you can have more space. So use a folding table. That's tip number one. Tip number two is you want to area prioritize, is what I like to call it. This means that you are organizing the space where most of the items are going. Okay. So say for instance, you're doing your master suite, right? So that includes your bedroom, bathroom, and maybe the bedroom, bathroom, and closet. Okay. So when you're doing these areas, you want to start with a closet. For one, it is connected directly to your bedroom. Okay. So many of the items that should be in our closet, they're in our bedroom. They're hanging on that chair. They're hanging on the dresser. They're laying on the bed. So all of these places have clothes, right? So we don't want to start in the bedroom because what are we going to do with those clothes that are already in our bedroom? They need to go in the closet. So you want to start with organizing the closet first. You get the closet organized because that's where the items are going that are in your bedroom, most likely. And then you can possibly do the linen closet or, the bathroom, depending on the items that are in your bedroom. But you want to take a look at what's in your space and determine, oh, I should do the bathroom first, or oh, I should do the closet first. And when you're doing the kitchen and the pantry area, you want to start with the pantry because the kitchen a lot of times has things in it that could go inside of the pantry if your pantry is big enough. And a lot of times we have food in our kitchen that should be in the pantry, right? So let's make sure we area prioritize so that we can maximize our space and our surface areas that we need. Okay. Tip number 3, you want to purchase what you're keeping, not what you started with. Okay. That means that you are purchasing after you've purged. Okay. This actually saves you space, time, energy, and money. Remember those systems we talked about? Save you space, time, energy, and money. When you buy containers, shelving, all of those things for what you see before you purge, a lot of times you are purchasing incorrect. Okay. You haven't been able to measure because it's been too cluttered, right? You don't know what you're keeping. So you're buying for what you see. You may not have a lot of big items. You may have a lot of little items. You may have a lot of not have a lot of little items and may have a lot of big items. So if you're buying containers and things for what you actually see and not what you're actually keeping, you're going to make a mistake. So you want to purchase for what you're keeping, not for what you actually started with. Okay. Tip number 4. Here's a doozy. Shh, everybody calm down. Stay focused. I know. Listen, it's challenging. Staying focused is probably one of the biggest things we encounter when doing something that we just don't enjoy, child. Okay. So this is easy for me when I'm working with a client to stay focused on the goal at hand. I oftentimes have to wheel my clients back in like, girl, no, or, don't, we not over there yet. We're right here. We're focusing on this particular area, this particular item. So, it's easy for me to be in the space and hold people accountable to help them stay focused. But when you're doing it alone, you got to figure out how to hold yourself accountable so that you can stay focused. Okay. So tip number 4 is to stay focused. All right. Tip number 5. Now, this is another big one. And I know I keep saying that, but listen, they're all big. That's why they're my top tips. Okay. Tip number 5 is create a buy when. Now, Tequila, what are you talking about? Create a deadline. You want to set deadlines that you're going to do certain things by this time. especially with these sell and donates. Okay. You guys be like, I'm going to sell this. I'm going to sell this on Etsy. I'm going to sell this on Facebook Marketplace. All these things. And listen, you're not. So you have to set a buy when. Tell yourself, okay, if I haven't sold it, if I haven't donated it by this time, this is what I'm going to do. If I haven't donated it by this time, I'm going to ask my sister to come and get them to hold me accountable, or to have my sister call me to hold me accountable, or whatever you need to put in place. You have to put something in place to hold yourself accountable. So that's the create a buy when. By when am I doing these things? Your deadline, okay? And here's my top tip. I'm sorry, not my top tip, my bonus tip. All right. You want to use the 2020 rule. And this 2020 rule is created by the minimalist. Some guys that created the minimalist. I don't know if you've heard of them. They're pretty big. If not, go check them out. But here's their tip. If you can replace something for less than $20 in under 20 minutes, let it go. Did you hear me what I said? I'm going to repeat it one more time. If you can replace something for less than $20 in less than 20 minutes, you want to let it go. Okay. This tips works wonders for those small random items. You know, when you're having a hard time making that decision, you can just say, listen, if I can replace it for $20 in under 20 minutes, it ain't going to take me a long time to get it or order it. Oh, we ain't gonna talk about them. But anyway, if it's not gonna take you that long and it's not gonna cost you that much, consider donating it if you're on the fence about it. Okay, guys, we are getting into the nitty gritty. So let's talk about zones. All right. So I'm gonna walk you through the zone by zone organization. Now, it's just a guide. You don't have to start in the zone that I'm talking about. You want to start with where your biggest pain point is, okay? Wherever that stressor is, wherever that space is that's causing you the most frustration, right? That's that would bring you the most relief if it was organized. That's where you want to start, okay? It's not about perfection. It's about peace and productivity that's pushing you towards purpose, okay? So I'm going to run quickly through these zones, okay? Because it's very extensive and I have it in the blog. Like I said, you can go there and check it out. We'll go ahead and link the blog page so you can check it out and see these different zones and how they're set up. Okay. So we're going to start with the kitchen and the pantry zone. Now for my larger families, this is a really good place to start because oftentimes we're in the kitchen and the pantry a lot. But if this doesn't work for you, if you're like, forget those kids, let me get my space together and let me get my suite together because I really need a place to rest and relax, then listen, start in the master suite area. But for all intents purposes, today we're going to start with the kitchen and pantry area because usually in most homes, this is where I'm starting. Okay. So we're going to talk about the pantry and the fridge simultaneously. But listen, you don't want to work on both at the same time. You don't want to work on any space at the same time. And you can also break down a space, a zone, like if you're, say, for instance, you're doing a living room and your living room is large and you have a lot of stuff in there, you can mark off one corner, do that corner, mark off another corner, do that corner. You can break that into spaces and zones, okay? So don't feel like, I don't want you working on, say, like a kitchen and, the refrigerator and the pantry at the same time. You want to make sure you are working on one at a time. But right now we're going to talk about the pantry and the refrigerator. So the first thing you want to do is do what I said. You want to create those 5 piles: the keep, donate, sell, trash, and relocate. Okay, so you want to have these zones already set up for yourself. All right, so you only want to donate food that is unexpired and non-perishable items. Okay. And then you want to make sure you're checking the expiration date of everything, okay? Especially the pantry when it comes to, especially if you've been at the house a long time, and even if you haven't. If you just moved in and you was at the other house for a long time, a lot of times we bring old food. I just recently worked with a client. She has stuff in there from 2011. Okay. She moved that stuff from one city to Charlotte, North Carolina. And then, listen, she been in that house for 8 years already. So that came with her from the other state that she was in. Right. So then you want to relocate. Relocating items are items like, say for instance, it was in the pantry, but it's like, oh, I probably can get this in the kitchen or something like that. That's where relocating comes in. All right. Um, and then or also some items can, the larger things like for holiday items, those large dishes and stuff, you can actually put that in the garage if you have space, right? If you have shelving in the garage, you can go in the garage, especially if it's not gonna get if it's not plastic. If it's more ceramic or metal, it can go into the garage. Okay. Then we have we're still talking about the kitchen pantry area. Then we go into our sorting and categorizing. So we just got done purging. We're checking the expiration dates. We're doing the quick sort, right? We're doing those two things simultaneously. Now we're going into sorting and categorizing what's left. So we have our trash, we have our relocate, we have the stuff that we're selling. Say, for instance, you had a coffee maker inside your pantry, you haven't used it, you can sell that or donate that. We have all those piles created. Now we're going to deal with what's actually left that we've decided to keep. Okay. So we've decided to keep these items. Now we want to sort and categorize them. We want to have the grains, or we want to have the snacks, the veggies, canned veggies. And you do your refrigerator like this also. Now, remember what I talked about in the last podcast. We always create a space that works for us. You cannot create a space based on what you've seen somebody else do. Okay. It's always about what works for you, your lifestyle, your family, how you live, work, and play. Okay, so keep that in mind. So we've done the sorting and categorizing of what's left of our keep, right? Because the trash, sell, donate, relocate, all of that is in another space. So now we're dealing with only the keep. Now we get to organize and beautify, right? So this is where you get to measure the space. You get to see what foods you are keeping and how they can fit in the space. So now you start to get more of a visual of what the space can actually become, because it should be clear and free because you've pulled everything out. It's on the folding tables, or it's in a trash bag, or it's in a bag to get donated. So now you want to keep tip 3 in mind. So what's tip number 3? Do you remember? So tip number 3 is purchasing for what you have left, not for what you started with, not for, before you started purging. You want to purchase the items, your containers, your shelving, all of those things for what it is you actually kept. I know it may seem counterintuitive because you want to already have the stuff. So when you're ready, yada, yada, yada. I know all of that. However, if you're not a professional and you haven't done this before, it's better to wait until you actually have a clearer vision. Because I can go into a space and I can see through the clutter, right? When you've been living in clutter and chaos and you've never organized, or you don't know how to get organized, it's hard to see past the clutter. So you want to purchase for what you've kept, what you have left, not for what it is you started with. All right. And you can also get labels, put labels on the containers if you want, on the shelving if you like. So what that does, it helps with restocking. It helps with the family helping you to get organized and stay organized, because they can help put the food away, and it takes a little bit of load off of you. If you were the person putting the food away, now you can have others helping you, and it can stay organized. Okay. So now we're going to get into the kitchen. So now remember, you want to do the pantry first, because now you may have more space. You freed up more space because you purged and got rid of a lot of food, old food, things you don't want, You have relocated some items. So now your kitchen has more, your pantry has more space. So the first thing we want to do is we want to pull out those folding tables, okay? Pull out those folding tables, and you want to start with your quick sort and purge, okay? The quick sort, that's your phase 2 and phase 3. You want to kind of do one section at a time. So if we're doing the glasses, let's do all the glasses and cups. If we're doing the plates, let's do all of those. If we're doing all the Tupperware, y'all know how I feel about that Tupperware, okay? Y'all got too many. Get rid of some of them. Get rid of some of those Tupperware dishes. Okay, I digress. Sorry. So we are doing the quick sort, right? So you have your 5 piles: your keep, your donate, sell, trash, relocate. So you are creating those piles. You have your keep items, and like I was saying before, you want to make sure you're just doing one area at a time, one space at a time. You want to do your silverware at one time. Because if you start trying to pull out everything, the plates, the cups, right, the Tupperware, all that at one time, you're going to get overwhelmed, right? So you want to purge a little at a time, one section at a time, right? Then once you do that quick sort and purge, right? So you have all of your donate stuff, you have all of your sell stuff, you have all of your trash, you have all of your relocate. All of that stuff is somewhere else. Now we're dealing with what it is that you actually have left that you're keeping, that's going back into this zone, that's going back into the kitchen. Okay, so that's going to be, that's when you do your sort and categorizing. So now you may have had cups over here, mugs over here, tumblers over here. Now you can see clearer. Oh, I can fit all of the cup type items in this one cabinet, right? So then you start to revisualize what your kitchen can actually be. Then you go into the organize and beautify, and then you're able to put those items away. But make sure you done the categorizing before you get into the phase 5 of organizing and beautifying, okay? And one important thing about when you get into organizing and beautifying, you want to examine your kitchen flow. And if you look at the blog, I do have a link in there to help you examine your kitchen flow, okay? Helps you to see like how I prepare meals and all of those things, okay? Okay, so next I'm gonna run through the closet really quick. And then I want you to go ahead and take a look at the blog for everything else, because it's a lot and you're not gonna really get all of it. Even though I'm talking about it, I'm just trying to give you an idea. So go ahead and grab the blog and you'll be able to see it more in depth of what it is that you actually need to create. Okay, so if we get into the closet, a lot of times for the closet, we definitely have to refer to phase 1, and we have to make room. And then we also have to start with our tip number 1, which is actually to use folding tables. Okay. So we use those folding tables, we make room, right? And then once we have the room, we can start doing our quick sort and purge, right? And so then we are taking the clothes and we are just donate, sell, trash, keep, right? So you're creating those 5 piles, right? And you can definitely donate donate and sell unwanted clothes and accessories. But some of the undergarments, you want to be careful with that and throw some of that stuff away. Okay. And then once you have your piles of keep, donate, sell, you're back into phase 4, right? And so we can sort those and categorize what's left, making sure we're doing it as detailed as possible. So like I talked about in the beginning, we have shirts, we have pants, but inside of those shirts, we have long sleeve shirts, short sleeve shirts, tongue tied again. All right, so you get to decide what categories you actually want to use, okay? Then we get to organize and beautify, right? And you're measuring for what it is that you actually kept, and you're purchasing hangers for how many items you have left. You don't go out and buy all these hangers because you think you're going to keep all these clothes. You wait till you actually see what it is that you have left. Then you can purchase hangers. Then you can purchase storage bins and all those things. Then it's time to do what? It's time to organize and beautify, right? Okay, so I hope this makes sense. That's the foundation of everything that you need to know for how to get organized, right? So we have our 5 phases, right? So what are the 5 phases? We have the make room, we have purge, quick sort, detailed sort and categorize, organize and beautify. Then we have our 5 tips. What are our 5 tips? We want to, number one, use folding tables. You want to area prioritize. You want to purchase for what you're actually keeping. You want to stay focused, and you want to create buy wins. And our bonus tip is to use the 2020 rule. If you can purchase it for $20 or less in under 20 minutes, consider letting it go. Okay. All right. So I hope this was helpful. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, I would love for you to like, share, subscribe, right? All the things. Give me a review for if you're watching this via podcast. That will be great. Don't forget to go get the blog so you can see all of these details lined out, and it shows you every room broken down. Okay. All right. So I know this may feel like a lot, but that's okay. You want to get the process down packed. So if you start in one space, it gets easier over time. You want to do one space at a time, one task at a time, making one decision at a time, right? You don't want to do this all at one time, right? It's not about perfection. It's about progress. Okay. So please remember all these things. And if not, go get the blog. And if you do remember, if you have a good memory, I don't, go ahead and get the blog so that you can have all these details right available for you. Okay. I hope this helped you, inspires you. You can definitely connect with us on all the social media platforms at Extreme Audacity, or you can also connect with me personally, Tequila Renee. Thank you so much for joining me for episode 3 of the Organized Life podcast with Tequila Renee. I will see you on the episode 4.